democracy, overhyped philosophy to run a country by. In this video, we will talk about flaws and loopholes of modern democracy, and why was Socrates against it, and why questioning it made him a dead man. At last, we will mention Jason Brennan's controversial book Against Democracy and how to fix it. Not the book, but the system. Chapter 1. The Foundations of Democracy and Philosophy. We often hold democracy in high regard, tracing its origins back to ancient Athens, where the Parthenon stands as a symbol of democratic values. Interestingly, one of Greece's other great contributions, philosophy, was highly skeptical of democracy. This skepticism is best illustrated by Socrates, the founding father of Greek philosophy, who is depicted in Plato's dialogues as critical of democratic governance. In the Republic, Plato recounts a conversation between Socrates and Adeimantus. Socrates compares society to a ship and asks who should decide who navigates it, anyone or those trained in seafaring. Adeimantus agrees that experts should steer the ship. Socrates then questions why we believe any person, without proper knowledge, should choose a country's leaders. Socrates argued that voting is a skill requiring education. Allowing uninformed citizens to vote is akin to letting untrained people navigate a ship in a storm. This highlights the importance of wisdom in making informed decisions, a concept often overlooked in modern democracy. Despite his criticisms, Socrates was not elitist. He believed in the right to vote, but argued it should be exercised by those who think deeply and rationally. This distinction between an intellectual democracy and a democracy by birthright is crucial yet often forgotten. Today, we equate democracy with universal suffrage, without ensuring voters possess the wisdom to make informed choices. Socrates warned this could lead to demagogues, leaders who exploit desires and offer easy answers. Reflecting on his teachings can help us understand the complexities of democracy and the essential role of education in preserving its integrity. Chapter 2. Socrates and Democracy Relation. Socrates' skepticism towards democracy was not just theoretical. He lived through its consequences. His life and eventual death offer a vivid illustration of the potential pitfalls of democratic systems when they lack a foundation of informed and rational citizenry. In 399 BC, Socrates was put on trial in Athens. The charges against him were ostensibly corrupting the youth and impiety, but the underlying reasons were far more complex. Socrates had a habit of questioning the status quo and challenging the powerful figures in Athens, which made him many enemies. His method of dialectical questioning, known as the Socratic method, often exposed the ignorance and contradictions in the thinking of those who consider themselves wise and influential. A jury of 500 Athenians was assembled to weigh the case against Socrates. This large jury was a hallmark of Athenian democracy, where such decisions were made by ordinary citizens rather than a small group of judges. Socrates defended himself with his usual eloquence and reason, but his unapologetic stance and refusal to pander to the jury's sentiments likely sealed his fate by a narrow margin. The jury found him guilty, and he was sentenced to death by drinking a cup of hemlock. Socrates' critiques of democracy included a deep concern about the rise of demagogues, leaders who gain power by exploiting popular desires and emotions, rather than through rational argument and wisdom. Ancient Athens itself had painful experiences with such figures, most notably Alcibiades, whose charisma and persuasive rhetoric led Athens into disastrous ventures. Alcibiades was a wealthy, charming, and ambitious politician who manipulated public opinion to serve his personal ambitions. His most notorious endeavor was convincing the Athenians to launch the Sicilian expedition during the Peloponnesian War. This military campaign driven more by Alcibiades' persuasive skills than by strategic necessity, ended in a catastrophic defeat for Athens, weakening its position significantly. Socrates foresaw the dangers posed by such leaders. He argued that demagogues are like sweet shop owners in a public debate, offering easy and appealing solutions without regard for the long-term consequences. In contrast, wise leaders, like doctors, might propose difficult or unpleasant measures necessary for the greater good. The challenge, however, is that the populace often favors the sweet shop owner's promises, as they are more immediately gratifying. Chapter 3. The role of education in sustaining democracy. Socrates' concerns about democracy centered significantly on the role of education. He believed that for a democracy to function effectively, its citizens must be well educated and capable of rational thought. This belief is as relevant today as it was in ancient Athens. In contemporary democracies, education serves as the foundation for an informed electorate. An educated citizenry is better equipped to engage with complex issues, critically evaluate information, and make thoughtful decisions. Socrates argued that without such education, the democratic process is susceptible to the whims of uninformed masses and the influence of demagogues. Modern educational systems aim to provide the skills and knowledge necessary for individuals to participate meaningfully in democratic life. This includes not only basic literacy and numeracy, but also critical thinking, ethical reasoning, and an understanding of civic duties. These skills help individuals analyze political rhetoric, understand policy implications, and make decisions that are in the best interest of society as a whole. Socrates' analogy of voting as a skill, akin to navigating a ship, emphasizes that effective decision-making requires training and expertise. Just as sailors must learn the art of seafaring, citizens must be educated in the principles of governance, economics, and ethics. This education should be continuous, adapting to the evolving challenges of modern society. Moreover, Socrates' emphasis on rational thought underscores the importance of teaching individuals how to think, not just what to think. Education should encourage questioning, debate, and the exploration of diverse perspectives. This approach helps to develop independent thinkers who can critically assess information, rather than passively accept it. In addition to formal education, a vibrant public sphere, where ideas can be freely exchanged and debated, is crucial. Media, public forums, and community organizations play a vital role in fostering an informed and engaged citizenry. Access to accurate information and diverse viewpoints enables individuals to make more informed decisions and hold their leaders accountable. Despite these ideals, challenges remain. In many democracies, disparities in educational quality and access can create significant inequalities in political participation. Socrates' vision calls for a more equitable distribution of educational resources, ensuring that all citizens have the opportunity to develop the skills necessary for informed participation. Furthermore, the rise of misinformation and the erosion of trust in traditional information sources pose new challenges for democratic societies. Socrates' teachings remind us of the importance of fostering a critical and discerning public that can navigate these complexities. Reflecting on Socrates' insights, we are reminded that the health of a democracy depends not just on its institutional structures, but on the virtues and knowledge of its citizens. Investing in education and promoting a culture of critical engagement are essential steps towards achieving a more just and effective democratic society. Chapter 4. Revisiting Socratic wisdom in modern democracy. One of Socrates' central tenets was the importance of virtue and moral integrity in both leaders and citizens. He believed that those who govern should possess not only knowledge, but also a deep commitment to ethical principles. This notion challenges us to consider the moral character of our leaders and the ethical frameworks that guide our political decisions. In a world where political scandals and corruption can undermine public trust, Socrates' emphasis on virtue is a reminder of the foundational role that integrity plays in effective governance. Additionally, Socrates' belief in the necessity of rational discourse invites us to foster a political culture that values thoughtful debate and reasoned argument. Modern democracies are often characterized by polarized political landscapes and superficial soundbites that simplify complex issues. By encouraging deeper, more substantive conversations, we can create a political environment that prioritizes understanding and solutions over partisanship and rhetoric. Socrates also highlighted the dangers of demagoguery and the manipulation of public opinion. In an era of social media and 24-hour news cycles, the capacity for demagogues to influence and mobilize the masses is greater than ever. Socrates' warnings urge us to be vigilant about the sources of our information and the motives behind political messages. Promoting media literacy and critical thinking skills can help citizens discern between genuine leadership and manipulative populism. Furthermore, Socrates' life and teachings underscore the importance of civic engagement and personal responsibility. Democracy is not a spectator sport. It requires active participation from its citizens. This participation extends beyond voting to include staying informed, engaging in community issues, and holding leaders accountable. Socrates' call for an educated and engaged citizenry challenges us to take an active role in the democratic process, ensuring that our voices contribute to the collective good. Reflecting on Socrates' trial and execution also reminds us of the fragility of justice and the importance of protecting individual rights within a democracy. Socrates' condemnation was a result of his unyielding pursuit of truth and his willingness to challenge prevailing norms. His fate serves as a cautionary tale about the potential for democratic systems to become tyrannical when they suppress dissent and critical inquiry. Ensuring that our democratic institutions uphold the principles of justice and protect the rights of all individuals is essential for maintaining a fair and just society. Chapter 5: Contemporary Critiques and Modern Democracy. Against Democracy by Jason Brennan, which scrutinizes the assumptions underlying democratic participation and suggests that modern societies may benefit from rethinking their approach to governance. Brennan's book builds on Socratic skepticism by arguing that most citizens are ill-equipped to make informed political decisions. He posits that the average voter lacks the necessary knowledge and critical thinking skills to effectively participate in the democratic process. This critique resonates with Socrates' view that voting is a skill that must be cultivated through education and rational deliberation. Brennan introduces the concept of epistocracy, or the rule of the knowledgeable, suggesting that those with greater political competence should have more influence over political decisions. While controversial, this proposal highlights the ongoing concern about the impact of uninformed voting on the quality of democratic outcomes. The book also addresses the phenomenon of rational ignorance, where voters remain uninformed because they perceive that their single vote has little impact. This leads to a broader problem of disengagement and apathy among the electorate. Socrates warned about the dangers of a disengaged citizenry, emphasizing the need for active and informed participation to ensure a healthy democracy. Brennan critiques the current state of political discourse, which is often dominated by emotional appeals and sensationalism rather than reasoned debate. This mirrors Socrates' concerns about demagogues who manipulate public opinion for personal gain. In the age of social media and 24-hour news cycles, the spread of misinformation and the focus on entertainment over substance further exacerbate this issue. Moreover, Brennan highlights systemic issues such as gerrymandering, voter suppression, and the influence of money and politics, which undermine the democratic process. These structural flaws contribute to a sense of disillusionment and distrust among citizens, making it harder to achieve a truly representative and equitable democracy. Socrates' call for a rational and virtuous citizenry is more relevant than ever in addressing these systemic challenges. Against Democracy urges us to reconsider the foundational principles of democratic governance and to explore alternative models that might better serve the common good. While not advocating for the abolition of democracy, Brennan's work challenges us to think critically about how we can improve our political systems to align more closely with Socratic ideals. Reflecting on these contemporary critiques, we see a clear need for reforms that enhance the educational and informational foundations of our democracies. This involves not only improving formal education, but also fostering a culture of critical thinking and ethical reasoning in the public sphere. Additionally, addressing systemic issues such as political corruption and the undue influence of special interests is crucial for restoring public trust and ensuring fair representation. In summary, the critiques outlined in Against Democracy underscore the ongoing relevance of Socratic wisdom in evaluating modern democratic systems. By recognizing and addressing the loopholes and vulnerabilities in our current practices, we can work towards a more informed, rational, and just society. Now we would like you to like and subscribe our channel. Comment down your thoughts on this. We will glad to hear from you and pin down the best and most inspiring one. Now, after commenting, click on the right of your screen to watch the next video. Peace.